Welcome back to the show where we run you through all the Dolphins news you need to know about. After through the news you need to know about, we run you through the fan Q&A where we answer fans' questions. So much to talk about in today's show. A lot of news is piled up. I want to start here. This first news story comes from Pro Football Rumors. It's not a big deal, but kind of a big deal. Tyreek Hill says he wants to finish his career in Miami. Tyreek Hill said, quote, "My wife loves it, the kids love it, my mom loves it, and it's just a beautiful city to live in. There's so much stuff to do. Obviously, I would like to retire in Miami, but we all know the NFL is how jobs go and people getting promotions over here, and we understand that. But Miami is a great city. I love the team I play on. I love those guys in the locker room. I love the head coach. I love the GM. So that means sign me. I love all you guys so much. I want to stay in Miami forever. Man, keep me there." I thought he said here, he said there. Tyreek Hill is a crazy person. I think, he's one of my favorite Dolphins, I think, at this point. Especially since we've been starved of, great players for so long. But when you think about the pantheon of great Dolphins, he has... He's up there. I mean, he's only played 2 seasons here, going into his 3rd. You wouldn't expect anything less from him. He's lived up to all the expectations, which is rare when it comes to Dolphins free agents or trades. I think we all know that. But the ban is crazy. Just if you read the news and some of the things that he said in the past, he's a crazy dude. He's fun. He's crazy. He's a phenomenal player. One of the best Dolphins of all time. So who knows if he'll finish his career in Miami. Of course, he's going to say he wants to. And I think it's genuine. I think he does actually want to stay here. There were rumors early in the year, and I didn't even really look it up or look into it. I don't know how substantial, or I think I got it from NBC, watching a video or something. I can't remember. They were talking about Tyreek Hill. It's unlikely that the Dolphins will re-sign him, or I can't remember where exactly I heard it. So I'm not going to say it, and who knows if it was true. I think that'll determine, that is so far, and it's not far down the line. It is kind of, but that's going to be determined by so many factors. You think about Tua's contract, you think about the cap situation at that time. Stuff like that is going to determine, what is his market, which I'm sure will be very high. So there's a lot of those things that'll determine whether he'll obviously finish the Dolphin or not. But just reflecting on what he's done here, it cannot be overstated. He was MVP. He was in the MVP conversation. We had 2 Dolphins last year in MVP conversation, and he's one. And it sucks he didn't win Offensive Player of the Year because I think he deserved it. But he's just a phenomenal player, and hopefully he brings something worthy, winning wise. I hope this group, this nucleus of talent, can bring Miami some sort of something we can look back on, either a division title or a championship, something like that. I think someone brings home an MVP, an Offensive Player of the Year. I just hope we get something out of this group because I think they are so good, and I think we will. We were 1 game away from it last season. We got super unlucky in that game. I don't know how to do it, but the punt return, and then obviously the deflection that ended up being a touchdown to Trent Sherfield of all people. So, I think this team is really close to something like that, and hopefully this draft and some of the things we did with the front 7 and some of the guys we've been, like Cam Smith in the secondary can hopefully step up, and hopefully Jordan Brooks is, someone we can rely on in the middle of the field. And obviously the addition of Kendall Fuller is a big deal as well. So I'm excited overall about this team. But yeah, I hope this Tyreek Hill can bring, when all is said and done, if he does leave Miami, I hope he leaves Miami with something that we can hold on to. Now, obviously his play, but something that we've all been waiting for. This next news story, everybody's already heard it. Obviously, I'm far behind on everything, so I don't want to... And I'm sure you guys have heard this Tyreek Hill stuff, too. I don't want to spend too much time on it. And we've talked about this before if it would happen, but the Dolphins officially, and I think maybe we talked about this last week, and if we did, no, I don't think we did. I don't even think I did a video last week, but this next news story comes from Pro Football Rumors. The Dolphins have officially signed Odell Beckham Jr. He signed a 1-year, $3 million deal. The Dolphins must finish, again, this comes from Pro Football Rumors, the Dolphins must finish as a top 20 offense to trigger any of Odell Beckham's incentives, which is interesting. Obviously, there's a bunch of stat incentives, but it's interesting that the stipulation is that we have to finish a top 20 offense. He has to get 4 or 6 touchdowns, receiving touchdowns to receive some of these. It's just a bunch of stats, like the normal stuff. But to talk about the signing itself and what it does for the team, we've talked about this a lot. The depth of receiver was, I think, worse than even when Mike McDaniel's first year. I think Trent Sherfield was much better than Craig Kraft and Chase Claypool and Braxton Berrios. And we've never had a true slot receiver at all. Like, nobody in the middle of the field to really threaten. Short passes, run after the catch. It was very lacking when it comes to the tight end position and the slot position. It was non-existent. If you look at the numbers of the other receivers on the team, it's a drastic fall off. Durham Smythe was the third leading receiver on the football team. That cannot happen. We expected more out of Cedric Wilson. We never got it. Braxton Berrios, I expected a whole lot more out of him, and he was super disappointing. So they needed a third option. They got a really good one in Jonnu Smith. I think I really love that signing. It's one of my favorite signings of the free agency because he's a really good run blocker, and he's done that his entire career. So we don't have to take him off the field. And he is phenomenal after the catch, and he can dominate that middle of the field, that short middle of the field, which no one really has been able to take advantage of. And that's something you see a lot of analysts bring up with this team is like, there's that short area that we really don't take advantage of. And I think Jonnu is a great player for that. I think he's the best tight end we've had since Charles Clay. I think he really is going to make a lot of plays in this offense. Gesicki just wasn't consistent enough. So I think he has really a lot of potential in the offense to really, really be a good player. And then you add Odell Beckham, who is, I think, if you look at his play last year, it was really good. He played a lot on the outside, played a good amount in the slot as well. He moved around. They didn't play him that much on first and second down. He was mostly on third down, which is why his numbers were, they tried to keep him healthy. And clearly one of the reasons he signed here is to get more snaps, and I expect him to do so. But even just taking his production last year, let's just say he finishes with the same numbers, which I don't think he will. I think he'll finish with more than that. But if he does, that's still better than what we had last year. And his tape last year is better than anything we had at the third receiver position. It's not even close. I think this lineup is the best lineup Mike McDaniel's had on offense. I don't think it's even remotely close. I think the depth is better, especially drafting players like Malik Washington. I know some of you guys like Taj Washington. I think, if I'm forgetting his name. I like Malik. I think he can actually be a really good Dolphin. So this lineup offensively, and that's what Odell Beckham's bringing, is more consistency, more versatility, and he's going to bring a true slot receiver to this offense that they haven't had before. And again, adding Jonnu Smith, which is it's a big deal. I think it's going to really open up the playbook to add another weapon to target in different ways, which we really haven't had because we haven't had a tight end, which I think will help in the red zone a lot. And I think it'll help disguise things because sometimes, especially since our depth wasn't great, we had to really show our hand with our personnel. And I've talked about this before, but you take Tyreek Hill, Waddle off the field because they're not really the best run blockers in the world, or you have to take them off the field because they have to rest, or whatever the reason is. Like, the playbook gets a lot smaller, and it's a lot less. The lineup goes way down. I mean, if you remember, one of the reason, and you could obviously it's not Tua's at fault, but when Tua threw that interception against Buffalo, which cost us the division, the receivers on the Tyreek Hill and Waddle weren't on the field, and that's a problem. Is when they're not on the field, it's a major drop off, and I think like I said, Jonnu, Malik, Odell completely cures that issue. I think personnel wise, we're going to be a little bit more. We're going to be able to disguise a lot more, and I think we're going to be way more consistent as an offense, especially in the passing game and off play action than we were in the past, because we're not going to have to move personnel. Like even when Mike Gesicki was here, we weren't going to run the ball on to his side or really at all when he was on the field. He was mostly on third down. Jonnu Smith's a 3-down guy. So those are the reasons why I think he elevates the offense. Depth, he adds a true slot presence that we haven't had, and I think more consistency from the lineup just overall. So I love the signing, I think, and especially how cheap he was. And he, we're not. This isn't Mike Wallace. This isn't. I mean, it's not even real. I mean, Brandon Gibson. Maybe it's Brandon Gibson, if you guys remember Brandon Gibson. But it's not Mike Wallace. This isn't a guy that we're who's going to come in here and expect him to be a 1 or even a 2. I mean, this guy is going to be a 3-4 option. I mean, you could even argue he's the 4th option to the running game as an offense. But in the pass game, he's probably the 3rd option. So he doesn't have a lot on his shoulders. So it's not like we're relying on. We drafted Malik Washington, so this is just a win-win for Miami. I love the signing, and I'm really excited to see this lineup play together, because it just presents so many issues. I think it's one of the most talented from the skill positions perspective. It's better than any team in the NFL. I really do believe that. I love our running backs. We go 3, and if you love Chris Brooks, that's 4. And I love Jonnu Smith at tight end. I love our 3 receivers. I even love Malik Washington. So I really like this lineup. It's the best Mike has had from a skill position perspective since he's been here. And I'm really, really excited to see how we utilize these new pieces on offense. It just comes down to offensive line play. And we'll see where that ends up as a final product. But I love the signing for all those reasons. So let's move on. I think that's pretty much it for the news. I think we covered it all. We signed Odell. We could go through the undrafted guys. I don't know if you guys really care about that. Obviously, Storm Duck is a good one. There's a tryout guy from Wisconsin that's not on here that apparently had a really good rookie minicamp. But some of the guys that stand out to me, Storm Duck from, which is one of the weirdest names of all time, from Louisville is someone who really stands out. There's really no one else here. The Rutgers, I believe, he's either a guard or a center, I can't remember, who apparently is impressed as well on tryouts. The Dolphins signed him. He's not on here on this list, so there's really no one on this list that's like who's like, oh my god, we got him. Except Storm Duck. I know a lot of people like him. Louisville had a really good defense last year, so I guess that's someone to look out for when it comes to undrafted, and he could be a really good special teams player. So that's one of the guys that kind of stood out to me. Just to run through that really quickly. Now we get to, and just to kind of like, oh, okay, that's all I have to say about it. I just can't wait to watch this offense. I love Jalen Wright from Tennessee. I just love what they've done with and they've really just bolstered and improved on some of the things that we needed in this offense, and that was a big deal. And I just really, really excited to see this offense play together. I can't wait, dude. I can't wait to see Malik Washington in preseason as well. I think that's going to be really fun to watch. So I'm really excited to see these guys play together. Tua is going to have a really good year. If things go right, now I don't want to sound crazy. If things go right, I could see him at least being an All-Pro candidate to an MVP. Well, maybe not All-Pro is really hard to get in the AFC, but for at least an MVP conversation. I think for the entire year, I really love this offense and the way it looks right now. So really excited about that. But anyway, let's move on to the schedule, which there's a lot of things to talk about when it comes to the schedule. So basically, just before we get into it, before the schedule came out, I just really wanted to know, like, what was December like? And I think that's the most, because that's where we need to finish stronger. Obviously, the last 2 seasons weren't great when it comes to that. And I was really hoping for, like, more of a warm weather vibe. And where the division games obviously are really important, especially Buffalo. I was hoping that we would get them early on. So let's get into this. First week of the season, Jacksonville at Miami. Don't really have anything to say about this game. I hate predicting wins losses. I don't do that. I think it's bad luck. I'm sorry. Okay. I just never have on this channel, but I do. I mean, obviously, I have other opinions on the schedule. So if you're looking for that, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. But obviously, I'm going to share my opinions on the schedule about placement and stuff like that. But the first game, Jacksonville, the Jaguars. What was I going to say? I just lost my train of thought. Anyway, yeah, it's a good first game, obviously, at home. Always good to start the season at home. This is where we get a little crazy, everybody. Going into week 2 is a Thursday game, which I thought was interesting. Because it's like, God, it kind of sucks that we get the Bills on Thursday night. At least it's at home, and I think that's a good thing. The fact that it's a short weekend at home is great. I just hate that it's on Thursday night. That's really all I have to say. It's nice that we start the first 2 weeks of the season at home. I hate having such an important game early in the year like this. I hate it. But it is what it is. I mean, what else can we say? I can't wait to play these guys again. Can't wait to watch the game. It's the most heartbroken I've been in a long time, being a Dolphins fan and losing that game. So it's good that it's at least the fact that it's a short week and it's at home is a good thing. But it sucks that we have to play in week 2 because it is such an important game. Weird that the NFL is like, let's put this on Thursday night. I know that they've been disappointed in the Thursday night lineups, so maybe that's why. And then we finally go on the road for week 3 to Seattle. Now, the thing about this game, it's a 4 o'clock game, by the way. I love 4 o'clock games. The thing about this game is it's obviously Seattle has a great home field. So, it'll be interesting it's weird that, Pete Carroll's not up there anymore. It's a completely different Seahawks team now. So it should be a fun game. I can't wait to see how we perform on the road. The conditions obviously aren't going to be a problem. So it's going to be fun. That'll be a fun game. Tennessee, don't really have anything. It's kind of just a normal NFL game. Tennessee at Miami again. This is also ESPN. I believe, I could be wrong. I want to erase this game from my memory. I think every Dolphins fan does from last year. I believe the last year was Monday Night Football as well, if I'm not mistaken. I love the Dolphins on Monday Night Football. I think it's just, we might still be, we used to be the most appearances on Monday Night Football. Obviously, that's probably changed over the last 10, 15, 20 years drastically, unfortunately. And the Dolphins have 5 primetime games, which is the most in a long time in Miami, which is cool. But, yeah, I can't wait to play these guys again. So 3 home games in the month of September, and so far through the first 4 weeks. Pretty cool. You could have a chance to have a really good start to the season, which is nice. And I can't wait to play the Titans again. It's going to be really fun. And hopefully get some revenge. And Vrabel's not there anymore, which is a good thing, because I think Vrabel's a really good defensive coach. And I think it was a mistake letting him go. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what kind of Titans team they are with this new regime there. So I can't wait for that game. The next first October game, moving into the month of October, with Week 5, is New England. We're going to New England, which is good. Early going to New England, completely different Patriots organization. It's going to be really weird. Um, Obviously, no Tom Brady, no Bill Belichick. Their roster is terrible. Their draft was actually pretty bad, in my opinion. So, um, especially out of everybody else in the division, I thought they did by far the worst. And their offseason was terrible. So, they're not very good. Um, so, yeah. Then, bye week. But it's nice to be in New England earlier in the year. Because obviously conditions won't be as bad. So, that's really nice. Bye week. Week 6 bye week sucks. I thought that was kind of rough. Not a great, because you're basically, I mean, you're barely in the second month of the year, and you already have a bye week. It's not the best bye week in the world, so I wasn't a huge fan of that. It is what it is. So coming out of the bye, um, we go to the road again. So back-to-back road games. We go to the Indianapolis Colts. We haven't played the Colts in a while, so it's gonna be pretty fun to play them. Another young team, kind of trying to find what they are with a new head coach there going into second year. So that should be a fun game. Going to Indianapolis like the old school days. Obviously, they used to be in our division. And I can't even really remember. Like, I feel like it's been a long stretch since we've played them. I could be wrong. It's been at least 2 years. I think, unless I'm forgetting something. Um, and then we go back home for week 8. Yes, week 8. The Cardinals come to us in Miami. Another young team, kind of trying to find out what they are. Obviously, new coach there. Not the roster is missing a lot of pieces. So a lot of young teams that don't know really what the heck they're doing, and some bad organizations on the schedule, which is good. Uh, so after that, after we play the Cardinals at home, the last time we did that, I believe, was in 2016. We made the playoffs. Great game, if you guys remember. Matt Moore came in, did great. So next week we go at Buffalo in November. Not the best. You know what I mean? I would rather have this game earlier in the year. I was really hoping for a September road game against them. I really was. Really, really, really was hoping for that. I believe we got that last year. It was earlier in the year. I can't even remember. I'm pretty sure it was a September game. And obviously things still didn't work out, so we got to beat them on the road. It's the streak has to end. Beating Buffalo in general, the streak has to end. I'm sick of it. I hate them with everything in me. So it'd be nice to beat them on the road too. We haven't done that since 2016 either. So I'm so excited to November. I don't really care at this point. I just want to beat them. And if we have a better run game this year, um, then this is going to really help on the road. Then we move on to week 10. Um, we go on the road to Los Angeles. They don't really have a great home field, and it's indoors. Should be great for our team to be able to throw the football all over the place because it's not very loud either. So that's a really nice road game to have. Raiders come to Hard Rock Stadium again for the second season in a row. Should be fun. They again another team that's kind of finding their way. They don't really have an identity. They lost Josh Jacobs. Obviously, they have their new coach there, whose name's escaping me right now. Who did a pretty good job with them down the stretch as an interim coach. But they don't have a quarterback, and kind of it's still weird that the Raiders continue not to pick a quarterback. But anyway, yeah, they're kind of lost. So again, kind of a theme. A lot of teams on here are in not great spots. And then week 11, we go back to Hard Rock, back to back home games again in November. Pretty awesome. We play the Patriots at home, so that's a nice kind of 4 game stretch. Honestly, I mean that's a really nice October if you think about it. Colts, Cardinals, Bills is the hardest one on here. Rams, Raiders, Patriots. That's pretty good for the Dolphins to kind of keep momentum going right there. It's not a lot of. There's not a lot of um, uh, there's just like I said, there's a lot of teams on there that aren't in a great spot. Um, Obviously, New England at home uh, is going to be a fun game as well. And then, which I believe, what is that, week 12? We go Thanksgiving game with the Packers on Thursday night, prime time 8:20. I love that we get to play them. Now, who knows if it's going to be frigid conditions or not. Um, Obviously, it's a younger team. That's gonna be a fun game. I can't. That's gonna be really fun. And the last time we were on Thanksgiving was against the Cowboys, and I believe that was 2011. Uh, so that should be really fun. Uh, then we finally played the Jets in December for our first December game. So this is what I was kind of trying to skip to. It's like, okay, what the heck is going on in December? So we played the Jets at home for the first December game. At once 1 p.m. game, which is interesting. Hard Rock Stadium. Then we go to the Texans at Houston, which is great because this is an indoor stadium. That just no cold involved in this game, so pretty cool. So far in December, 2 games where we're not on the road in a cold environment. Well, we're on the road for one of them, excuse me, but it's not a cold environment. So 2 games in December, first 2 games in December, not a cold environment. Now Texans is a team, pretty good team. I think we match up with them pretty well. That should be a fun game. And again, we should be able to throw and kind of chill out. San Francisco at Hard Rock. So this is pretty awesome December. 3 games in not inclement weather. Great. So we go to San Francisco. San Francisco has to come to Miami. Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel. That should be fun. Then to close out the year, we got Cleveland on the road, which sucks. I mean, obviously Cleveland, not a great. The weather's not great, especially almost in January. But not like what am I going to say here? They have issues. Like their quarterback situation is all over the place. They're always kind of having problems. So we'll see how. It's also a primetime game. We'll see how things go there. And then we have the Jets, which is to be determined. We don't know if this is going to be a primetime game or what time it is on the road and at New York to close this season. Which that hasn't happened in a long time. It's been a very long time since we've closed down that live stadium. A lot of people have brought up that the cold weather at MetLife and the wind and all that. Uh, yeah, it's not as bad as Buffalo though, or Kansas City. So I honestly, I love this. I would have loved for us to close out at home for the last game of the year, but I actually kind of love this December. I think it's much easier than last year, way easier actually, and I love it. So I think like I said, the first let's see here, one, two, first 3 games of December, all in warm environments, which is good. You would love to see a back-to-back home closeout situation. That's ideal, but you can't have everything. And I think it's a good December. I love the October-November stretch. I think that's like really, this schedule isn't as hard as it was last year, which is good. Got a lot of teams on here that are trying to find their way, new coaches, new quarterbacks that are young. Some don't even have quarterbacks on this schedule. A lot of new head coaches, a lot of new regimes on here. So that's a good thing. I think the schedule is easier. We played all of the best teams in the NFL last year. Played the Chiefs twice, played the Bills twice, played the Ravens. And that was tough. Those were literally the best teams in the league. We played the Super Bowl champions twice. We played the runner-ups. And then we played the hottest team in football twice down the stretch. Both times when they were on fire. Early in the year when they were on fire, and then they got hot again, and we played them again. So it's not as hard. Oh, and the Eagles, who were the defending NFC champions. That the record of like, oh, this is what they were versus. No, I'm not saying that. Like, obviously, you have to beat some of the best teams in the NFL, but those were not. Not a lot of people couldn't beat them, and there was obviously other circumstances going on with that, with injuries and all that. that played a part as well. And health, Omar Kelly's always bringing